next speaker is Senator Conway-Walsh, and you have 8 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Lasca Hirlich, and thank you, Minister. And certainly, as other speakers have said, we absolutely endorse the necessity for a national planning framework like this. And indeed, I do welcome some of the initiatives in it, and particularly the Atlantic Economic Corridor. I think if the money is put into that, I think there is huge potential around it. So I think it's important that it's there, and it's important that the investment is targeted there, and especially around Knock Airport, where you have the STZ zone. Again, and Senator Burke will know this, if the investment is put in there, but it needs to be done urgently, and I think that's what people are waiting to see. I have some concerns in relation to a lot of what is cited here, and a lot of the projects talk about a cost-benefit analysis, and certainly cost-benefit analysis needs to be carried out. But the results of a cost-benefit analysis can be fixed. We know it depends on what variables are used. And within this plan, what concerns me as well is that it's population-driven. So if one of your main factors within the cost-benefit analysis is population, then a lot of the projects that are cited within this plan will fail. And I think there needs to be clarity around the variables that are used in each of the cost-benefit analysis, and I think there needs to be consultation with the local authorities and the local areas in developing the criteria for the cost-benefit analysis. Now, when we talk about the amounts that are made available through this, again, absolutely, for capital investment we've been advocating for a long time. We know that we get the multiplier effect there, and it is the only way forward. But there is much more money that could be used for this plan that we would need. And the Minister will know this, and he talks about the capital envelope. But were we, for instance, to do, and he talked about the debt and the decisions that were made by government, and you know, and some of this crazy stuff of, well, everybody told Europe to go to hell and all that. I don't think that serves anybody. But I do think we need to accept the reality of our national debt as well, in that it's probably, I think it's the second highest in the world at 198 billion.
After Japan.
Yeah, so you know that is actually costing each citizen in this state, you know, around 44,000 euro. So that is all money that could be used for capital investment, and indeed could have been used over the years. And if we look then at servicing that debt, and we look at that about between 6 and 7 billion, I think it's at the moment. Again, that is each and every year. So you're talking about 60 to 70 billion again over the 10 years that could be available to put the vital infrastructure into where it is. And then if you look at savings and money that we give away, we only have to look as far as the Section 110s and the vulture funds and the tax loopholes that are given there. And there's no point in getting hysterical about it. It is an absolute fact that we are letting billions go out of this country. And we are encouraging, like the likes of vulture funds, to come in and to take these tax breaks. And they're not, you know, they're at the expense of people living in rural Ireland. And that is the problem that we have with a lot of this. And we need to be heard, and you need to listen to us, Minister. Now, I want to comment on the way that the plan was launched in the first place. I mean, for the likes of rural Ireland, we thought it was absolutely ridiculous. All that was short was the dancing girls to come out, you know, and the bells and whistles around it. I really thought it gave off the wrong image. It overcooked the goose. Absolutely overcooked the goose in this. So you had the strategic communication unit, which I do think, and I agree with the Taoiseach in the sense, and I think he is coming around to that way of thinking that it needs to be abolished. And certainly I think the use of public money around all of this has to be, absolutely has to be looked at, and looked at by the Public Accounts Committee, and I think that is the only way forward. But, you know, I worked in media buy-in myself and in advertising, and I know the difference between an advertorial and an editorial, as most people do. And this was put across as editorials. There's no way around it. And you know, you just have to kind of face up to that. And there's no point either in the Minister passing the buck, because I know when I was instructing media buying agencies and advertising agencies, the buck stopped with me. So it does stop with the Minister, you know. So we need to get to the bottom of that, and we need to see how taxpayers' money is being spent around it, and you know how the regional newspapers were used in relation to this. I think as well is quite despicable. We all know that newspapers are quite vulnerable as it is at the moment, and then the promise as well of there's more to come of this. You know, it really doesn't fill us with confidence in rural Ireland when we see money wasted like that. Now, there was the other aspect of it, that so much of the plan has been announced already, you know, and now I see there's announcements, but I've read in the paper, I burst out laughing there during the week, it was, we are expecting an announcement. So now you have the expecting the announcements as well as the announcements. And if we look even, you know, what's cited within the plan, and we take even the likes of the Belmullet sewage scheme, I mean, now we waited for that for 40 years. Now it's nearly completed as it is, because we had the EPA and we had all the European directives that it was breaking and all of that, and certainly we welcome that. But that was a project that was first cited as 13 million. It was cut down then to 6 million. So it was vastly descaled. So, you know, putting that into the National Development Plan when it's already done, and so many more of it, so much more of the plan is stuff that's regurgitated. I just want to ask you finally, Minister, in relation to the statutory basis, because I think it's awfully important that this plan is on a statutory basis. And would you just clarify for me in relation to the legality of that, and if there is going to be a vote in the Dáil and the Seanad to put this plan on a statutory footing? And just finally, I'm delighted to see that Minister Ring was made a billionaire overnight. There will be huge expectations in rural Ireland and in counties like my own in Mayo for him to be delivered. For him to deliver now, and we know that we have no doubt now that the R312 connecting Erris to Castlebar, that we have waited almost 40 years for as well, will be delivered.